What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. There is yet another Kevin Durant rumor coming out today, which we have to talk about, and this is going to continue all summer long, and we're linking him yet again to my Toronto Raptors. So news came out today, and this was posted by NBA Central on Twitter that the Brooklyn Nets are angling for Scottie Barnes in trade talks with the Toronto Raptors. Now, this is not the first time we've obviously heard about Kevin Durant to the Raptors, and obviously Scottie Barnes being involved as well. So I'm going to break all of those rumors down for you guys in today's video. So if you're ready to watch this video, guys, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It does help get this video out a lot more. And if you want to hit the subscribe button as well, that would be very much appreciated. Let's try to get this video to 140 likes. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Now, as you guys know, I do like to give out shout outs on my channel. And for today's video, the shout out goes out to Azan Pradhan. So Azan, thank you so much for supporting this channel. Through your likes and comments, it is very much appreciated. Now let's break this article down, which was being reported by Michael Scottie. And this article stated, I wanted to break down this part of the article where it stated one such rumor came out earlier this week when it was reported by Michael Scottie of Hoops Hype that the Nets are angling for Rookie of the Year award winner Scottie Barnes in trade talks with the Toronto Raptors. And this went on to say, you mentioned Toronto being the favorite. He said, if they put in Scottie Barnes, which they haven't done to this point, then I think you have a real conversation. That's who Brooklyn is angling for in trade talks with the Raptors. Now, obviously, we heard about more Kevin Durant rumors earlier this week regarding him and the Boston Celtics. I honestly don't think there's a deal that gets done there. I don't think the Boston Celtics give any of the pieces up that the Brooklyn Nets may be looking for, just because the Boston Celtics have already made the NBA Finals. And no, it's not to say that Kevin Durant isn't a player you should definitely trade for. I just think Boston Celtics are a really nice team, and it really honestly does not make any sense for them to trade some of those pieces for Kevin Durant. But in terms of Toronto Raptors, we have to talk about this because I know a lot of Raptors fans are sick and tired about this. And personally, obviously, if you ask me, I would not, of course, include Scottie Barnes in trade talks with Brooklyn Nets. And that has already been shut down by Masai Ujiri. There's been all sorts of rumors weeks ago talking about how the Raptors refused to include Scottie Barnes. And I dropped a video on that, of course, as well. But I want to talk about Kevin Durant because we've talked a lot about who the Raptors should include, which pieces to go back. It seems like the NBA runs on narratives. And I want to clear one narrative about Kevin Durant. People keep saying he's slowing down. Of course, he's getting older and he's not going to be the player he once was. But there's this notion that he's slowing down. And I want to absolutely dismiss that notion because Kevin Durant, coming back from an Achilles, just averaged 29 points. This is his second season coming back from an Achilles. Of course, he's going to miss games. Of course, he's going to miss a lot of time, and he's not going to be playing 82 games that you expect him to. But the fact that he averaged 29 points, more than what he averaged with the Golden State Warriors. Of course, he got more shots with the Brooklyn Nets, absolutely. But he also averaged more assists with the Brooklyn Nets, as well as shooting better free throw percentage. So I think there's a silly notion that he's slowing down. Like, he's 34 years old, coming off of an Achilles in his 30s. And yet he did all of this. And this is not even to talk about the mess that the Brooklyn Nets were. Brooklyn Nets were absolutely poorly run because they really threw in all of their bags for James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and of course, Kevin Durant as well. Now, obviously that didn't work because James Harden has been shipped to the 76ers since, and Kyrie Irving, all of his off-court issues with him as well, which I'm not going to discuss. But Kevin Durant kind of was just forced to lead the Brooklyn Nets, who are kind of a mess. Let's be honest. Steve Nash has not done anything that has impressed me on the coaching end. And if you talk about that same Kevin Durant and you put him on the Toronto Raptors, I think we're taking a look at potential finals matchup between the Warriors and, yes, the Toronto Raptors again. Now, obviously, the Raptors do have to give up a decent amount to acquire him. Scottie Barnes is personally not a piece I would include. And I know a lot of fans will say, well, if you don't include Scottie Barnes, you're not getting a deal done. And I completely disagree. The Raptors could probably arguably offer one of the best pieces outside of maybe the Golden State Warriors, who we know there's no trade getting done there, because even if there is, Kevin Durant isn't going to the Warriors, guys. Let's be honest. As much as he may have gone to the Warriors in the first place, he has at least that much pride not to go back there. Obviously, he's made terrible decisions, and even I don't like him for his decision making. I'm not going to sit here and act like Kevin Durant is my favorite player. I absolutely dislike the decision he made, not only to the Warriors, but the fact that he left Steph Curry for Kyrie Irving, and the fact that he left the Warriors for Brooklyn Nets. The Warriors are a very well-run organization, and I think Kevin Durant, if he were to be traded to the Toronto Raptors, I think the Raptors offer one of the most intriguing packages. Outside even Scottie Barnes, they have two All-Stars in Freddie and Pascal, who have made the All-Star teams in the past. They also have some really young, intriguing pieces in Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, who are still growing and they're still very young. And of course, they have some really good prospects in Precious Achiuwa. They also have their first round picks they can throw in as well. So again, I'm not going to say which pieces deserve to be thrown in a trade for Kevin Durant, but I think he would absolutely thrive in the Raptors system, given the fact that they have one of the best medical staffs in the entire NBA. I know people are going to be quick to point to all of the injuries the Raptors had last season, but part of that could be blamed on Nick Nurse. The fact that who played Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, and OG Anunoby so much, I believe they were ranked in the top 5 for most minutes played in the entire NBA. So obviously he wore some of these guys out, and that led to injuries as well. And to the fact that obviously Pascal had that off-season shoulder injury as well. So I think Kevin Durant on the Toronto Raptors makes so much sense, guys. The NBA runs on such narratives. We heard the talks about Giannis Antetokounmpo being silly for staying with not the Brooklyn Nets, but he would be pretty interesting there. But he stayed on the Milwaukee Bucks, and the following season he won the NBA championship. And then the talks went from him not winning a championship there to potentially becoming a top 5 player. We heard the same thing with Steph Curry. He can't win without a super team. There were questions about him when he didn't make the playoffs without Clay and Draymond, and look where he is now. There's talks about him being the top 5 player of all time. So I think the NBA runs on narratives. Kevin Durant to the Toronto Raptors makes so much sense. He makes so much sense for obvious reasons because the Raptors obviously had an elite defense for several years. They have really good defense, but one of the major struggles for the Raptors, not only during the regular season, but particularly in the playoff time when it's half-court offenses, set defenses, is scoring, and Kevin Durant absolutely will thrive in the Raptors system with Coach of the Year Nick Nurse. So I think it makes a lot of sense. It makes too much sense for the Raptors not to acquire Kevin Durant. I know people are going to say, well, this is a young, exciting team. Let them grow, guys. But I'm going to be completely honest and give you an unbiased take as a Raptors fan. Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, those guys are never going to lead you to a championship. They're going to be great complementary players, yes, and absolutely would be heartbroken to see them go. But Kevin Durant would absolutely take the Toronto Raptors to the top. I think we have to stop, even if he is dropping off a little bit. Let's just pretend for a second that he's dropped off a little bit. He's 34 years old. Absolutely get that, where fans will say, well, he's going to slow down a bit. And he will. That's quite normal for players as they age. But even if he goes from averaging 29 points, so let's say he drops off major and averages 24 points, that is still 24 points you're talking about. You rather have $1 than 4 quarters. So I think it makes a lot of sense for the Raptors to acquire Kevin Durant. I don't understand when fans say we don't need him. Any team in the NBA would absolutely love to have Kevin Durant. The only obviously difficulty in acquiring Kevin Durant would be what price are teams willing to give up. Minnesota Timberwolves absolutely screwed up. I think every team, when we say this, honestly, that every team that is trading is expecting a lot of draft picks in return, and that's simply not going to happen with Kevin Durant because he was offered to the Pelicans for Brandon Ingram. The Pelicans had refused. There are rumors about that. Obviously, there have been trade talks between them and Boston, and they're not going to get what they want from Boston. So then comes in the Toronto Raptors, who are the perfect team for Kevin Durant, and obviously have some really nice pieces who they can trade for Kevin Durant. So again, this is my personal take. You can disagree with me in the comment section, but I do want to hear from you guys. I know there's this notion that Kevin Durant cannot win without super teams, but I think it's also about him having him in the right system. Like, I know people are going to say, well, he's missed a lot of games. The point is, you're not trying to have him play 82 games. It's not about which team can win the most regular season wins. That's not what the Toronto Raptors would do if they were to acquire Kevin Durant. It's about how healthy can you have him in the playoffs. And I think the Raptors can load manage him. They got an excellent medical staff there. So I think it makes sense for him. Again, the difficulty becomes what pieces are you willing to give up and if Brooklyn Nets will accept that. So we'll wait and see what happens. I think the Raptors and the Kevin Durant situation is a match made in heaven. And I think ultimately the Raptors will acquire Kevin Durant sooner rather than later. So we'll see what happens, guys. We still have a long summer to go before Kevin Durant gets traded. Let's see what happens. But I do want to hear your thoughts. What do you think of all these rumors about Kevin Durant? Where do you think he ultimately lands? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, guys, I do have a trivia question for you today. And that trivia question is, which team was the youngest in the NBA last season? Was it A, Orlando Magic? Was it B, Oklahoma City Thunder? Or was it C, Houston Rockets? Or was it D, Memphis Grizzlies? So whoever answers this trivia question correctly first in the comment section will get a shout out in my next video. So that will be it for today's video, guys. So thank you so much for watching. And I hope you guys have yourselves a great day.